Test 1, test 2. Hi, welcome back to this channel. I haven't done one of these in a while, mostly just because it takes a lot of time. But I have started to fall into this slump again where I'm not having very much fun anymore, and I would like to have more fun again. And I remembered that this is fun. Hi. If you're new around here, my name's Casey Catalbus. I run a Webflow design and development studio called ArtSci Studio. I don't think I've announced that on this channel yet, but hello. That's what the new name is. If you're curious about that, you can read more about it on our website. But today, I just wanted to do some design. I haven't done a ton of design on this channel, so I kind of wanted to do like a design with me kind of video. But if I try to design anything like for serious or for real, I will take way too much time. So what I did yesterday is I did a little bit of a challenge. Flow Party, which is a Webflow community, does these like regular challenges, and the one going on right now is to design a website for a musician or an artist. And the Taylor Swift Eras Tour is coming up, so I decided to do one for the Eras Tour and kind of redesign the Eras Tour website. And I got all the way through the design and realized that my screen recording software recorded like the music I was listening to. So I am talking throughout it, but it's all over very loud Taylor Swift music. So I couldn't use that audio. But I still kind of want to show you what I did and the process there, and I think it's sort of helpful to kind of watch the design process in general. So yeah, let me walk you through kind of where I started, and then I'll talk through the design process and show you the end product as well. All right, this is the current Eras Tour website. So, fun thing about this is whenever you click on one, and also just whenever you refresh the page or click up here, it shows you like a different era and changes the color scheme of the website, which is kind of fun. And this is just a one-page website for all of the Eras stuff. It leads you right into merch, so you can buy merch because you can't buy tickets for this show anymore. And then it has sort of this call to action for like socials basically, which this is kind of fun, I guess, and this is cool. This is sort of where it becomes boring. And then this is like a really useful section where you can select your show, and then it'll show you the details, how many days, plan your visit, the openers. But I really wished when I was designing it that all of this was like within one section, because you just kind of have to go up and scroll again. It does pin this to the top, but like all of this is related, and I just wish it was all like within the same field of view. So that was something I wanted to do too. And then there's just like a little social thing here at the bottom. But my goal was really to redo this, and just kind of put my own spin on it. So I'm gonna show you that process here and talk through it. So this is where I started out in Figma. I always sort of bring the full page into Figma so that I have it to reference back to. And then I also brought this in later on in the process. So this is sort of the poster for it. This is the like main graphic for the Eras Tour. You can see it all over her merch. This really tall serif font, which I like okay. But one thing about the website, it just didn't really carry this kind of brand into it very much, except for here at the top. All the font is still her like regular sans serif Helvetica style kind of thing. It just didn't feel like it matched this very well, so that was something I wanted to bring in more, is just this sort of font style. And then in pulling in inspiration, I wanted to do something that really highlighted images from the tour so far. There have been so many like really cool photos taken. She has like incredible artistically styled photography, so I wanted to find a way to bring that in and maybe like that the highlight of the design, instead of this, which just feels like a little too much and I don't really know where to look. So just having like a central point to look at and flow through. So that was the inspiration there, and now I'm going to show you a speed run of the design, and a future Casey will talk over it, and then future Casey, who is me now, will wrap it up too. All right. So when I started out, I had brought in a bunch of images from the tour and stuff like that. I gave myself an hour because I really did not want to spend too much time on this. So keep in mind that everything I'm doing is within an hour timeline, and that's all I've got. When I started at the beginning, I was thinking maybe I will pick an era like midnight and then style the whole thing after that. Kind of similar to what they did on the site, but just taking it a step further. So I pulled those colors from midnight along with sort of those main colors from the poster and saved those. And then the next thing I did was figure out what typeface I kind of wanted to lean towards. So I'm playing around with a few different serif fonts here. Gambarino was the first one I thought of because I thought it looked kind of similar to the poster font as well as Bosca. But the thing with the poster font and Bosca is I find it really difficult to read. You can kind of see those thin lines make it almost invisible, especially as a web font. But the one I just pulled there at the bottom is the one I liked the most, and it's because I bought it most recently. It's a font called Canyon by Brandon Nixon. I'll put his name on the screen here so you can find it and look it up. But it was a really, really fun font, and eventually was the one that I decided to explore a little more. When I'm designing, I end up trying a bunch of different stuff at first, like little tiny puzzle pieces, and one of those first puzzle pieces is color, one of the second one is fonts, and then kind of the next one I start to explore is layout here. So right now I'm experimenting with kind of like a full width layout, which was similar to one of the kind of inspiration sites I had pulled at the beginning, seeing what it looks like with this different navigation layout at the top. I knew it was going to be a really simple site, so I didn't need that much navigation. I just kind of needed a like find my show button up at the top. In designing a site like this, it was really great to have a bunch of images already. As you can see, I pulled a bunch of these from the Twitter account, We Love Taylor Swift. I forget what it is. It's a very Taylor Swift fan account there. So really, really good to have really nice images to play around with. It's difficult to figure out where you're going with the design if you don't have images to start out with. You'll also notice here that I'm not using like a grid or anything to start. That's sort of just personal preference. I find that sometimes it's helpful to start with the grid, but with what I was doing here, I didn't really want to start there. I kind of wanted just a free flowing kind of space and then align to a grid later. So the option I'm exploring now is one that I liked a lot, but I didn't want to stop at 3. I kind of wanted to keep going and see what else there was and explore what it would look like with just really full sending on all the images. So that's what I'm doing here. So after considering all the different options, I really decided this one was the one I liked the most. And I also decided that it was the one that I was most likely to be able to develop quickly, if I'm honest, which, you know, isn't always a factor in the design you choose, but it was for this one because I wanted to be able to develop it pretty quickly. So decided to go this route, and I could also see some opportunities for some kind of fun interactions and just motion styling on this kind of layout. The next thing I decided was that the next section was going to be the pick a show section, so I decided to leave with that instead of the merchandising section, because I feel like that is what I was looking for the most when I came to the website originally. And what I'm doing here is just playing with layout. I know I'm going to need a lot of different information, and I want to have it all within the same kind of section of the screen, the same viewport. So I laid out a grid of boxes, and now I'm just filling them out with information. And it ended up looking cool kind of all on its own, but you can see later on I sort of explore what that grid is going to look like. But right now I'm just filling it out with all of the different information I need. So having a drop down to find the show, having the date, the city. I realized I was going to need the map as well. So making sure I put that in, just playing with what is going to go where. This is about the point in the design where I was trying to figure out, like, how deep do I go into this gridded boxes section, because I've already kind of shot myself in the foot with laying it out this way and not using auto layout, which would have been a lot easier down the line. But I just wanted to design quickly, you know, and sometimes you sacrifice the flexibility there. But because I will be developing this, I kind of have a little bit more flexibility if I want to do it down the line, or at least if I want to do something different down the line with that layout. So I just kind of left it as is. The main thing I was trying to figure out, I think at this part, was like if I wanted to break out the sections, like have a dark section, have a light section, have a dark section again. And I just kind of decided against it, just to keep with this pattern where I have kind of a funky layered grid approach section, and then have a straight grid approach section, and then have the layering again, but still having the same background throughout that. I just like the way that looked. Not a ton of reason behind it, but you can see here the next section I wanted to do was the merch section. And at this point was sort of the point I realized that I did not have that much time left, and I didn't have that much time to get deep into this sort of merch section. So I kind of reused one of the layouts I had from the homepage there and repurposed it for this merch section. And I like the way this looks with the kind of periwinkle background with the shirts against it. I feel like it's not too stark with the white, and it kind of lets the white shirt stand out a little bit more than just having like a straight white background there. And I definitely did not do as great with this section because I forgot to put like a buy button. I just put the arrow, and I also didn't put a button for all merch, so I'll probably add that in the development section. But this is kind of where I decided to go with at least just showing some of the merch in the merch section. I didn't want to show everything, but definitely the opportunity to scroll through all that on the way down. Down here I had about 10 minutes left, and it was time to not spend too much time. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing sort of my layout section piece again, where I just put gray boxes and then fill it in later on. I decided this section was going to be the like social connect section. The plugin I'm using here for icons is just called Iconify. If you need icons, use it. It's really useful. And I tend to use the phosphor icons in it. The thing I like about that library, it kind of tells you where the fonts are coming from, and that way you can use sort of consistent libraries for your fonts too. So you're not, you know, using fonts from a bunch of different libraries, because it can get kind of inconsistent if you do that. So that's one of the reasons I like it, just so I know where everything's coming from. I also pulled from Rayloom for those social icons at the bottom, just because I was getting to the end and really needed something there. And decided not to do anything crazy with the footer and just sort of keep it as is, because I'm gonna have to develop this and I just want it to not be so hard. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. So I'm going to show you now kind of what I think. I am going to try to credit these images the best I can. I know I pulled them from Best of Taylor Swift Twitter account, so hopefully I can lead things back through there. And as I develop this, I will probably adjust things as I go, but I just kind of wanted to talk through this design because, you know, this was a short 1 hour, and I also didn't totally align things to a grid when I did this, so we'll have to work on that within development. But here, have this sort of off-center image situation. I think if this goes any further, it won't go to the very edge, but it'll stop at a certain point. That's kind of how I like to develop in this kind of style. But as I'm going down, this will be all interactive, and when you click Find My Show, you'll click on it and it'll populate with the right show, the right map, the right openers, the whole thing, and also a venue link. When I develop it, I probably won't do all, you know, like I don't know how many shows there are, like 50? It feels like a lot. But I'll populate it with a few different ones so you can see how it would change. One thing I'm thinking for development for this is that instead of having these gaps in the grid, that it's all just one continuous section and there are no gaps in between these lines. I would like to see how that looks, and I don't think that would be too difficult to try out within Webflow. Other thing I'm thinking here is that when you hover over each of these, it'll invert like this. Invert isn't the right word. The background will change to this sort of lavender color. Same thing with the openers, but instead of background, just an overlay so you can click off to the artists. Might also add an icon here for their Spotify links and things like that. The next section is merch. I did add a little shop all merch button here because I knew it needed that. Also thinking for this section that when you hover over, it'll just show like an overlay or something that takes you off to those links. And the last thing is my little call to action section. This was a nice full layout. I liked this image for the amount of just like fun space it takes up with her in the center, and then really lets these call to actions with the socials shine, and has something to let you know what they are. I feel like on the actual site, there isn't any indicator of what's going on there. But that's it. Same footer as the last time. Would love any feedback you have or any questions you have about the process or approach I took here. If this was a full like client design, the next thing I would do is absolutely put these into auto layout, because there are so many little tiny things that aren't aligned that are really annoying to me right now. Same thing with cleaning this up, and then also showing those different hover states, because I have them in my mind right now, but if I were handing this off to a developer, they would not know. So that's kind of would be the next steps here. I've sort of showed what it would look like with these, but it's not clear that this is a hover state and not just the way it looks. So yeah. Hi. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope this was helpful to you in some way, and I think in the next video, I'm going to see how quickly I can develop this. My goal is an hour, but we'll see. I don't think it's going to take just an hour. It'll probably take like 1 to 2 hours, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we'll do a little build with me instead of design with me next time. So let me know what other kinds of videos you want to see. I'm thinking of doing some more sort of design with me type videos, some more Webflow build with me type videos. I am building a couple really silly things, don't you worry, in the future that I'm excited to share too. But yeah, if you want to keep up with me, I'm on Twitter, and if you want to work with me, you can check out my website there too and fill out that form. But that's all I have to say. Later, Swifties.